Hey y'all, my name is Jatarin Moore, and on my YouTube channel, I am documenting my journey as a real estate wholesaler. In this video, I will be giving you guys 3 reasons why a cash buyer will never, ever buy your wholesale deals, okay? Now, this video is not saying all cash buyers won't buy your wholesale deal, because a deal is a deal. So there are cash buyers who are out there who, of course, buy wholesale deals. But if you have any of these 3 things going on that I'm about to list in this video today, you might as well wipe it out, because nobody's going to buy it. Number 1, the first reason why a cash buyer will never buy your wholesale deal if you got it under contract is if the profit margins are too thin. You didn't leave enough meat on the bone. That's common sense, right? But for a lot of wholesalers, if you don't know how to calculate the ARV or, determine the numbers accurately for a wholesale deal, you might not leave enough meat on the bone, which in turn will cause a cash buyer to not want to buy from you. Cash buyers typically purchase wholesale deals to fix it up and flip it, to resell it on the retail market, or they may fix it up just a little bit to make it livable so that they can rent it out to tenants. Both of those things require money, right? So if a cash buyer is not able to put money into the property and then make money off of the property, it does not make sense for them to buy it, okay? So if the profit margins are too thin, you might as well hang it up. I mean, honestly, you can determine that before you put it under contract though. Just be sure you're not locking up properties or putting properties under contract where the profit margins are too thin. It has to work out for everybody. It needs to be a win-win-win, meaning it needs to be a win for the seller, it needs to be a win for yourself as a wholesaler, and it also needs to be a win for your end buyer as well. If it's not, it's not a deal. The second reason a cash buyer will never buy a wholesale deal from you is if it's in a really bad neighborhood. Now listen, hold up before your controversy arguments start. I have sold a wholesale deal in a pretty bad neighborhood. It has happened, but it wasn't as bad. Y'all know it's some messed up cities here in the United States. It's some rough cities out here. Cash buyers typically are not interested in buying in those areas, unfortunately. You may have some stragglers who are interested, but most of the time they're like, if there are a lot of break-ins going on, if there are a lot of abandoned houses happening, if it's just really rough where it's a lot of violence going on, they're not interested in that type of thing because they know they may not make any money from it. So say for instance they come in and they try to fix up a property and flip it that's in a bad neighborhood, they may not be able to sell it. You know what I mean? They may not be able to get their money back. Or if they fix it up to try to put a tenant inside of the house, a tenant may not want to move into a bad neighborhood. So they may have trouble finding a tenant for the property. They don't want to have to go through that. So make sure when you are finding properties for cash buyers, you look in like older neighborhoods, but neighborhoods that are well put together. Y'all know what I mean. The nicer areas in your city. Think about those areas, and those are the areas you want to target, right? And you want to try to look for the diamonds in the rough. So you want to look for the rougher properties in the nicer neighborhoods, properties where you see that they've all been renovated, but there's this one that's standing out that just hasn't been touched, and it looks like it may need a lot or a little work. That's the house you want to target. Not anything in a rough neighborhood. You will be wasting your time. When it comes to cash buyers, you would. The third reason and the final reason for this video that a cash buyer will never buy your property is if you done made a bad name for yourself. Come on now, you guys. Wholesalers, sadly, but it's the truth, we typically have a bad name and a bad rep in the real estate game because it's a lot of filthy acting wholesalers that exist, and that's just the reality of it. So if you have created a name for yourself, for example, that name can be created if you are just not being honest or not being upfront, if you're doing a lot of sneaky moves, and y'all know what I mean. If you don't know what I mean, you will figure it out as you go throughout the process of wholesaling. Just doing things that'll cause people to steer clear of you or, avoid you. Another big thing is if you're sending out deals that just don't make any sense. People will consider you as amateur. People will consider you as, you don't know what you're doing, because if you continue to do this over and over again, sending out deals that don't make any sense, people won't even bother to open them. So, when you do come across the actual deal, you won't get any traction because of your history of sending bad deals. So you just gotta create a great name for yourself. Make sure you're networking. Make sure you're partnering up or squatting up with other experienced wholesalers. So that way you're able to get your numbers accurate and you're able to know what you need to put the property under contract for, because that's also wasting your time as well when you think about it, right? You don't want to have to go throughout the entire process of finding the property, calling the seller, negotiating with the seller, getting the property under contract, and then trying to find a buyer and none of the numbers make sense. No, you have to get this right the first time. Now, I'm not saying your numbers will be perfect. Nothing is ever perfect. And of course, there are always pop-up expenses that come along in real estate. We're all aware of this, but you at least have to be close. You need to be close to ARV. You need to be close to the estimated repairs that it requires. Don't you go talking about, especially in today's market, if it needs a full rehab, that thing only needs $10,000 to fix up. That's not true. And that's a lie you tell. Now, you have to think about these type of things, and it has to make sense. So being a wholesaler is all about making the numbers make sense for yourself, for your end buyer, as well as your seller. And if it does not make sense, don't send that mess out. Because then, like I said, you're creating a bad name for yourself. And if you are planning to do this long term, if you're planning to make this your lifestyle, and if you're planning to just do this to free yourself, to build generational wealth, then you need to do it right. And you got to do it right the first time. You want your name to be mentioned well and highly in rooms when you're not around. You don't want people to be like, hey, that wholesaler such and such. Stay away from them because they don't know what they're doing. You guys, that was just a quick little rundown of 3 reasons why a cash buyer will never purchase your wholesale deals. So feel free to rewatch this video. I explained a whole lot in a little amount of time, but these pointers here in this video will help you. So come back and watch this as many times as you need. And I hope you found this video to be valuable. If you have any other reasons as to why a cash buyer will not purchase your wholesale deal, let me know down in the comment sections. We all want to know. I do appreciate you guys' feedback. And with that being said, that's all that I have for you guys. See? It wasn't that long and it was very good information. Now, if you haven't subscribed to my channel, go on ahead and subscribe. You've made it all the way to this point in the video. You at the end now and you still ain't subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. Join my family, join my journey as I complete it as a real estate wholesaler. Make sure you also hit the notification bell so that you never miss anytime I upload any new content. And with that being said, guys, I will talk to you all in the next video. Bye.